Looking to embed an event calendar into your website? Hey, this is Brenda Meller. And in today's video, I'm going to demonstrate both for you as well as for my virtual assistant how I get these awesome events loaded into my website calendar. And I'm going to start off here on my event page, mellermarketing.com/events/presentations or events dash presentations, I should say. You can see here I have a listing of upcoming events, and I actually use a tool called Tockify to build this. And I noticed today, Sunday, it's my weekly event day where I do my weekly event post. I noticed today that some of my upcoming events are not yet loaded into Tackify. So what I need to do is create some graphics and get these events loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and get started now. So my first thing is I need to have all of my information and materials ready to go to log into Tackify and to upload them from there. And I start with the templates that I create in Canva. And inside Canva, I use the creator to generate graphics that are 1080 by 1080 square. And I find this is almost a universal size to use both on Tackify, in my Instagram posts, and even when I post these on LinkedIn, I can find that this size works really well. Now, I did notice that I had one recurring event and I didn't want to include the specific date. So the next session for this Friday VIP office hours is Friday, May 3rd, but this is something that repeats every month. So what I decided to do is just create a generic graphic and I called it First Friday every month and didn't put a specific date in here. So that way, when I upload this to Talkify, it won't have the date that's recurring inside there. So that's the very first thing is I want to make sure I have all of the graphics here inside Canva. And once I have them all, I make sure that anything I don't want is hidden. So you can see some older, outdated events are hidden in the background here. And sometimes I'll keep these because I might repeat with specific speakers or topics or events. So I just hide them so I can access them later. But that way, if they're hidden, when I do an export of the graphics, those hidden graphics will not appear. So now I'm going to go in Canva and I'm going to click on the share icon. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on download. And right now it's saved as file type PNG and it is only going to be exporting pages that are public, that are not hidden. And then I go ahead and click on download. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is if you're exporting more than one PNG file from Canva, it will automatically put these into a zipped folder for you. And as soon as it's done, you're going to see here's the folder that's created by Canva. And it's going to drop this onto my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and click on save. Once I've done so, I can then open that folder from my desktop. I'm going to pull this back up on screen and I can see here it has a zipper icon on it. So I'm just going to click quick on extract all and put that in the same location on my desktop. And now I can go inside the specific folder and there are individual graphics that I can easily grab without having to unzip the folder again once I get inside of Tackify. And let's go onto Tackify next. All right, so I'm using a version of Tockify, which is a paid version. I think I pay $80 a year. Gives me some additional functionality above the free version. And I usually tell people start with the free version and then upgrade to the paid version once you start hitting roadblocks on features that you need access to. Once I'm on the Tockify homepage, I'm simply going to click on the green button that says go to your calendar editor. And then in here, I'm going to see a list of all of my upcoming events. Now, if I go back to my Canva graphic, which is already created with all of my upcoming events in here, I'm going to notice that I have the Tuesday, April 23rd event for Deanna. I don't have actually, I do have the Friday, May 3rd, but I want to replace that graphic with the first Friday every month. So what I'm going to do, you'll see inside here, the graphic says starting August 4th, 2023. Now, that was probably very relevant back in August and September of 2023, but now that we're in April, that's starting to feel a bit dated to me. So I'm going to go inside the graphic and I'm going to click on Edit Repeating Group. And all I need to do is click on Change Image and then find the image from my desktop. So I'm going to click on Upload Image because this is a new image that's not yet inside Tackify. I'm going to choose a local file, navigate to the folder that I have saved on my desktop. And I can see in here I have one called First Friday. So I'm going to click on Open. And then once I click on Done, it will then bring that into Tackify. We'll give it a second to do so. And then we click on Use this image. And you're going to notice that the image is now in the upper right-hand corner under featured image, and it should also pop it into the graphic in the middle here. Now, while I'm here, I'm just going to double check that all the information is correct inside here. And this says, thanks for your interest in the Friday VIP Job Seeker office hours held on the first Friday of each month. I'm going to add in here from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I'm also going to add in here sessions are delivered via Zoom and broadcast live on YouTube. I had to think about the platform I was going inside here. And I'm just going to give it a quick once over to make sure that everything is accurate inside here. Now, this is for the recurring event, and the first event was actually back in August. I don't have any need to change this at this time because it does repeat every month and it says forever. So if I were to have an end date, I can always come back here and make that change. But everything else is looking good. I'm going to scroll down to the section that says online event link and just double check that I do have a web page where people can go to register. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to click on Save Changes. Okay. Now, once that's been saved, I'm going to click on back to event and then go back to the pin board, and that'll take me back to the home page. And I can see in here now these graphics all read first Friday every month, and it does have the date and information below there. Okay. Next thing, I'm going to look back at my Canva graphics again and see what is next in here. And I'm going to hide this page because I've already used the graphic. I'm going to drag that down to the bottom. Just helps to clean it up a little bit. And I see that the next event I have is this team training for a VIP client on Tuesday, May 7th. Now, that's not yet listed in Tockify. So I'm going to click on create an event. And what I like to do, just for ease, instead of retyping everything in, I'm going to open up the graphic inside of Canva and I'm just going to copy basically the fields that are in here. So for event title, I'm going to do copy and paste with that. In the event start time, I'm going to go to May 7th. And just to double check, I don't have the start time loaded in here, but I think this is a 9 a.m. event here. So I'm just going to quickly change that. And it doesn't really matter if I put the time in here or not. For my audience's perspective, if someone were to reach out to me and try to get a hold of me, they might notice that that event is on that particular date and time, and that's why I'm not available. But I'm going to go ahead and drop in the description in here. You'll notice sometimes when you copy and paste from Canva, it will add in some line breaks. So just make sure you get that updated. Now, I could certainly save as I go, but what I'm going to do is just add a few more elements inside here, and then I'm going to save it again. So I'm doing the same process I did for the Friday VIP Job Seeker office hours. I'm going back to that folder, grabbing the graphic, and then I'm going to click on Done. Here we go. Use this image, and you'll see it's in the upper right-hand corner as well as below. Going back to the Canva graphic, I'm going to use the same description below here. I might bold the title in here and then paste that additional information. And I like to think about where do I want to send people who might be interested in learning more about my services and just kind of follow that along in here. Double checking that the link is going to the page I want it to. And I always like to open it in a new tab so they're not navigating away. And then I also might just add a little note in here, now booking through August. I could certainly be booking beyond that, but I think that creates a little bit of scarcity for individuals who might be looking for some bookings. And then I'm also going to drop the website link below as well. So I'm going to copy that. I always like to grab it with the HTTPS. I think there's something to be said there, just to double check that the link is actually working. And also, sometimes just having that HTTPS, it makes it look like a secure link. So I'm just going to say learn more here and maybe put in the link inside there. Okay, I'll put it in both places in there. And then I click on Save Changes, back to Pinboard, and now I see the event has been loaded inside here. So I'm going to continue on with this process, again, going back and starting with my Canva graphics, and then I'm going to refer back to Tockify. If I don't see a specific event in there, I'm going to click on Create an Event and simply start to create the graphic one by one. Whoops, I navigated out of there. Boot Camp Group Coaching. And sometimes I notice that these graphics, they can't copy the paste and paste the text because it's actually part of the graphic. So I might need to toggle back and forth a little bit on here. So I'm going to call this Boot Camp with Brenda monthly group coaching. Boot Camp with Brenda monthly group coaching. And I might even put in parentheses in here, members only. Okay. And this particular event is on Tuesday, May 7th, 6 to 7 p.m. So I'm going to go on to Tuesday, May 7th, modify the time, 6 to 7 p.m. And I like to grab that title in there. I always like to bold the titles, makes it a little bit easier. And I think it pops a little bit better. Go back to the image, and you'll notice this will start to get a little bit easier as you do multiple events in the series. Upload the graphic. Once it is loaded, then we're going to click on use this image. And again, going back here, I'm going to copy all of the information. Now for this particular program, I'm going to explain that this is a members only program. So I'm going to include the date, the time, the instructions. This is held on a private Zoom, members only, and this login page is actually what my members would use if they wanted to log into their program resources. So I'm going to give that login link inside here. And then I also want to make a notation in here for individuals who are interested in signing up. I'm actually doing an ongoing and open enrollment now. So if they want to sign up for cohort 3, they can do so by going to the bootcamp page. And again, I'm opening it in a new page, so I make sure I get the HTTPS inside there, okay? And then inside my Tockify, I want to make sure it's opening in a new tab and everything is looking good inside there, okay? It's an online event, so I will say learn more here. And I always like to put that in 2 different places. Sometimes it shows up into different areas when I do that, okay? And then I'm going to click on back to Pinboard, and I'll notice that this Tuesday, May 7th event is now there. Okay. Next event I have is for the Inforum organization, and it's not yet loaded in Tockify. So I'm going to click on create an event, Inforum Troy, and then I copy and paste the title. Let me close out of this page. I always like to keep the um, Tackify page in the last area so it's easier for myself to grab that. Okay, and I grab on that graphic information there. Use this image. And the more often you do these, the more it almost becomes like, I think it's muscle memory. We just kind of remember what to do inside here each time. And then you can get to the point where, like I am, I'm kind of talking as I'm actually doing the work here right now. It doesn't require a ton of thought once you remember the different fields to put inside here. But something I would recommend, don't try this at home the first time you do it. You certainly want to correct, concentrate on creating the graphic for the first few times here. And for this particular organization, registration is required. And I'm going to open up that in another page right now. And I think for this particular events, I can actually navigate to the website calendar. I'm going to click on event calendar, like their calendar view on the Inforum website. And my group always meets the second Thursday of the month. So I can quickly navigate to this page. And what I'm going to do is a link to some page. I'm going to leave that as the actual event link, but the text will be myinforum.org on there. Okay. And I like to change it to register at, I'm going to put the exact link in there. Put it in 2 places, click on Save Changes. And I'm not going to play with the tags and categories right now. I'm not sure how many people are actually using that. Oop, I noticed in here I forgot to edit the date. So I need to go back in here and fix the date real quick. This is going to be on Thursday, the 9th, and this is from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I make mistakes here too, aka learning experiences. And save as we go. We go back to the pin board, and then we can just make sure everything's in the right order, double checking the date and the time. So I'm going to continue to do this for the remainder of the events, and then I'll be publishing on LinkedIn, and I'll also be making sure that all of the events on my calendar are updated. I do a page refresh after I've done everything. And then I can just quickly scroll down the list and make sure that everything is properly loaded. Once it's in Tockify, I can go back to this web page events presentations and just double check that everything is listed accordingly. And sometimes what I like to do is just look at this web page and compare it with the Canva graphic and just kind of scroll down, make sure everything is loaded inside of there. So that's it. That's how I update my upcoming events on my webpage using a combination of Tackify, Canva, and some copy and pasting in there. Hope you found this helpful.